The Earth has shifted rather dramatically, and yeah, these videos are going to sound more and more crazy to most people, but they're not. We talk about the world as being a stage, and we need to think about the stage itself. It has many exits behind the curtain, and it also has trapdoors in it as well. There's a saying that when one door closes, another one opens. Well, it's not been very difficult to find some of those doors. I know why I happen to find myself in Scotland, for example, and I have been talking to quite a few of you individually. You recognise me and I recognise you, which we are intended to do. It's funny, as I look at myself on the screen while I'm making this recording, my right eye is looking a bit strange to me. I don't know how it's going to come back in playback, but the thing to remember with the third eye, it is not about sight per se. You have all the senses, all 360, going through that third eye. It is taking information in, and it allows you to see way beyond the five senses. There are many well, this was shown in The Wizard of Oz when Toto pulls back the curtain and reveals it's somebody operating this illusory wizard, this terrifying wizard. But there are many doorways. It is a curtain call, and the curtain is a veil. It only takes one of these doors to be opened, and it will rip the fabric of time apart. It will look like a seam on a piece of clothing being ripped. It will look like when you open your eyes, your eyelids opening. Behind that, you will see in the sky everything. Everybody is going to see it. And with this so-called planetary alignment with Jupiter and Saturn and Mars, it will appear to look like a giant eye looking at us. But the all-seeing eye is all of us seeing the eye in the sky. Because there's always a duality to all these words and meanings. Another example of this is when you get, you'll see somebody who is a former CIA investigator or something like that. Well, think about the word former. How are you reading that? Are you reading it as in the past tense, as in that is what they used to do and they have now retired? Or are we talking about someone who can form a CIA? See, this is the thing. If we only look in one direction, we're not going to find it. Part of this presentation, I wanted to talk more about this spiritual path as well. If you're all familiar with the yin-yang symbol, and it is got like an S shape, and on one side of that center, that very fine line, that is the line we need to be walking. You have the white and the black. But because the one side is black, it is not very easy to see this spiritual path, and it does meander. But once you see the pattern and things, you can see the path quite easily. And it does wander, it does meander, and you are seeing both sides with it. Part of this spiritual awakening feels like being dropped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, for example, where you can't see land anywhere around you, and it is very unnerving. You're not sure about anything because you're not ashore. You are in a sea of lies. Remember, this is a lot of this that we're shown and the way we're told is actually allegorical. It's not actually in the physical. But it can feel like you would be dropped in the middle of the Pacific and you're thinking, where do we go from here? The sun, well, the best way to give you an example of the Earth, if you think of the carriage clock, little miniature ones, you've got a glass dome over it, which is highly significant. You've got 3 balls running round it. You could call them Is, Ra and El, because there's a question there, Is Ra El? And it's also the sign of the pawnbroker. Now, which way am I saying pawn? Am I saying it P-A-W-N, where you sell, in this case, your soul? You sell your earthly possessions for money? Or are we talking about pawn, which is the base level that they've taken, or where they have debased the sacred union way beyond even the physical act with that? But you'll notice with that, those 3 balls will spin one way and then they spin back the other way, and they keep time running. And that is exactly what is being shown with those carriage clocks, because it is a miscarriage, because we are subjected to time that way. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. For example, you'll get this, once this video is uploaded, when you get a notification for it, you will be able to watch it instantly. The time and space element disappears completely with that, same as when I send healing out to people. It's instant. There's no geographical or physical aspect to this. It's there straight away, in the same way when we recognise each other's souls and we know who we are. It's instant. There is no time and space at all. There is only now. So taking this analogy with the carriage clock, with the ball spinning one way and then spinning the other, it's working on a very different time scale. For example, the zodiac is actually running the wrong way. Yes, it should start of the changeover from Pisces to Aries, but now if we're going the other way, in Pisces, symbolised by the 2 fish looking in opposite directions, that's when you find out where you don't know where you are on the spiritual path, and you don't know which way to look. That's what Pisces is showing you. That's why it's a symbol of fish. Aquarius, where we had acquired our power, we lose straight away when we're in this new level of this matrix game. An army is brought to its knees. Well, there's Capricorn. We've lost our power, but we can find it again, because we can pick up the bow and arrow in Sagittarius. We get the sting back in our tail in Scorpio. We then find the balance in Libra, and from that balance we find Virgo, the Virgin, which now gives birth not to the scales, but it gives birth to the lion. From the lion you also have Cancer, which is known for its sideways movements, because you can see both sides. Gemini is the twins, so it's looking in more than one direction. It's staying on the path. Now comes Taurus, which is the strength we have gained. And then comes Aries, the ram, which will push its way through the next door. And we then progress to the next level, and then we find ourselves back in Pisces, and we're back in the sea again. And this is how this goes on. It's quite ironic that this is presentation number 8, because 8 is the symbol of infinity, and it goes on this endless loop. But we are at the cross point, the crossroads, right in the middle of that 8 that's turned on its side. As I've explained before, it is also mirrored 3s. You've got an unholy alliance, an unholy trinity of the city of Washington, the city of London and the Vatican City, for example. But you also have the good trinity out of this, the mind, body and soul of each and every one of us. You are gods and goddesses in your own right, after all, because it is not control over another. You are your own universe, and you are the god of that, or goddess of that universe. Excuse me if I just use the singular terms of either masculine or feminine, because That's irrelevant, because we're not talking about physical forms here. The masculine and the feminine are just two aspects of the same thing anyway. So I will be contacting as many of you as I can. I've got a pretty good idea where most of these portals are anyway. And your locations where you are is going to be very near. The answers are actually in Wiki. That's a good starting point, because the information is always in plain sight. It will even tell you how to unlock these doors and what you can bring through as well. And a virtual army that most people won't see to start with until it's too late, because this is a real game changer. We will rip open the fabric of time. The world is under an enormous pressure at the moment. So one slight little door opened is going to be too much for this seal, this sealing that, and this oppression that has been put on us, and it will just rip wide apart. Ladies and gentlemen, we have won this. Now the male aspects out there, you are the key holders, you are the ones that open the door, because remember, a gentleman holds the door open for a lady. It is the lady, the divine feminine, that goes through that door. But don't think your work's over there, because if you're in a masculine body, you're going to have to go through that door as well, because you'll need to walk ahead and shine the lights for that lady, to make sure she's safe and make sure that is the right path to be on as well, because you don't want to be opening the wrong door as well. But as one door opens, another one closes. We seal the doors off from the darkness with every door of light that we open. But remember also the duality of this. The northern lights, so they called, or as they are called, it's the black sun. The rays of the black sun come out green in this reality, because the colours here are very different from any other realm. Think also about the eye. The eyes are the windows of the soul, but you've got black pupils. It appears you're going into darkness, but you're actually going to find the light in the darkness. As the saying says, the best place to find the light is always in darkness. All those experiences that you've individually gone through in your lives are lessons. And think about the word lessons. When you go to school, you go and learn lessons. Well, these are real lessons. This is not the education system. This is the game of life. And you will find everything that you've been through will empower you. You just need to embrace the god or goddess that is within inside each and every one of you. You've all got equal chances to do this. You get 216 chances in every lifetime, which I think is more than generous to find this. As long as your mind remains open and your heart is open, not open to the point where it is going to be fooled and tricked any more than with the mind or with the physical body. You need the logic. It has to go hand in hand with the spiritual. You need both parts of this. Otherwise you can be easily misled. The day we think we've got the answers is the day that we stop learning, and the day we basically die spiritually and mentally, because we think, yes, we've got the answers, and then we try and wrap all the new information around that. So never stop asking questions, because there is always going to be more to find. And as was pointed out to me, I made a comment about beyond the 11th dimension, the 12th and 13th. They are infinite. But we're growing the whole time, and we're rebalancing things. Don't be fooled that this is an awful time. It's not. It's a natural progression. I think it was NASA that has said that the Earth has shifted. As they've backed up what the tribal people of North America have told NASA, that the Earth has shifted. NASA are telling you it is like the shape of a potato. There's a half-truth there, because when they say a shape of a potato, they're talking like a slice, like a crisp. Now what happens to a potato slice when you put it in hot oil? It buckles. So as well as this magnetic field coming down, metaphorically speaking, and possibly even physically speaking, part of that surface of the earth is buckled and is moving closer to it as well. So we are in for a very interesting and wonderful year ahead, and this is going to be the year of the big changes, and 2020 is, as described in an opticians, as having perfect sight. But we're not talking about sight with these eyes, we're talking about sight with the third eye here. And you will, if what I'm speaking to you now, it's not the hearing as such, but if it resonates, that's a variation of the hearing, but it's not the physical five sense hearing. It goes beyond that. It's the tree of life roots spreading out from those five senses. You get many, many more senses that will come through. You will get the feel of something. You may listen to particular YouTube channels and you like the flavour of that channel. There's your taste sensation coming through, for example. So yes, wonderful times ahead. So don't feel negative about anything. This is the big mistake when we're walking on this spiritual path, when you are on that very fine line between the light and the dark, in the yin and the yang. It is so easy to look just at the negative side of things. So the analogy I've used before, one plane crashes and 400 people die, but what about, look the other way as well. Look at the thousands and thousands of planes that don't crash and people get off those planes unharmed and are still alive in this reality. But the news will always try and push you into a negative mindset and lower your energy, because this is what it's all about. It's all about trying to lower your energy. You need to raise your energy and stay in the high vibrations. See things for what they are. Another example I can give you of this, I haven't got a garden, but I can sit out on a balcony. Now if I was in a garden, I would be lower down, closer to the ground, and the chances are the garden may even be in shadow from one of the tall buildings around. So what good would the sunlight be if I'm sitting there in shadow? But by being high up on a balcony, the shadows of the other buildings are not affecting the amount of sunlight I get. I'm actually getting more sunlight. I can still appreciate the flowers. Don't forget that it's not also sight with flowers. When you see those yellow flowers and all those lovely beautiful colours of nature in this realm, it's not just the sight. There is an energy coming off of these things that gives you that feel-good factor. So this is way beyond just the five senses, and don't just see things in terms of the five senses as being separate. Everything is nothing and nothing is everything. So this third eye is the seeing, and the 360 senses come with that third eye opening. And likewise, the all-seeing eye is not a singular being. It is when all of us see the eye in the sky. It's funny how they twist these words around, but you can twist them back. You can see things from two different ways. Words have more than one meaning always. So keep that in mind. Whenever you hear something, don't react to the first thing you hear, because we can all fall for that. We can see something horrific and then spread it round to other people in messages and put it up on Facebook. But don't react to things. Stand back and think, hold on a minute, this might actually be controlled opposition. What's the overall effect of me sharing that going to do? What are the ripples that I send out in the energy vibration level from that one video or message that I send? Is it going to be a good one or a bad one? Is it going to put people in high vibration, or is it going to bring their energy down? I put a lot of thought into anything I put out as a video for this reason, because yes, we have to be aware of the 5G, yes, we have to be aware of the vaccines, we have to be aware of the cashless agenda, we have to be aware of the one world government, we have to be aware of the Space Force. The Space Force is already there. Don't think the Klingon cloaking technology is something just in science fiction. Those things have been up there a lot longer. They're on the move. They came past here yesterday, the strangest looking clouds I've ever seen. Why don't the dark clouds produce rain on you? Because they're dark energy. It is showing you, as clear as anything in black and white in the clouds. When you look up in the sky and you see something that looks like a flying saucer, yeah, it is a great big ship. It is running on sky tracks of the magnetic field of the dome above us. And they are moving things about, and you have to ask yourself, why are they moving them? What are they up to with these things? But it won't be long before those cloaking devices will no longer work, and everybody is going to see them anyway. You won't be able to. You'll have to be looking down at the ground to not see them. A lot of people are going to react and be fearful and panic from this, but there's really no need to be, because it's showing it for what it really is. And this is the thing about staying in high vibration, because you're also building up your aura. You've all experienced when you go into a room and you think, oh, there's an atmosphere in here. Well, yes, there is an atmosphere, because you wouldn't be able to breathe without it, but there's also the energetic atmosphere. You can detect without a word being said that people have had an argument in that room. And those people are probably still in that room and are in silence. But you can be very aware of it without even hearing a word. Yeah, the nose is still running. But I'd rather that, because it means all that we're subjected to is coming out. Interesting as well, as a final note, the observation, the reports about Krakatoa and a Russian volcano have sent dust clouds up into the air. No wonder there's so much dust in the air and everything's looking so dirty outside, and we're breathing all this in. We're taking it in through our eyeballs, through the pores in our skin, through our ears. So don't wear those masks, because you're not releasing it. You're you're then breathing it back in again. It's about letting this out. That's what a virus is. It's your immune system is working perfectly well, and it is throwing something out, but this is being spun as fear with what is going on, and there is a lot of people who are giving into that fear and feeling fearful and living their lives in a fearful way, and there is absolutely no reason to. We can spin this all round the other way and see things from a completely different perspective, and see that what is happening now is actually very good, because it is. It is a change that has to happen. It is an apocalypse. It's an epoch collapse. It is the end of an age and the start of a new one. It is part of a natural cycle. I've seen this with businesses where they grow, they get nationalised into one great big monster, they get privatised, they're split into small companies. Some of them will take over other companies and they begin to grow again. It's a wheel of time, a wheel of fortune. It just keeps going round and round and round. But it's this reality, and the way that's done is not actually to our benefit at all. We're pay again pagans with taxes and things, and we unwillingly take part in it. Children are the most well, they're still in touch with the innocence of their souls. This is why children are asking why to everything. It's not an annoying question, it's actually a very good question to ask, and they have not been through the education system to hammer that out of them and conform. We should all be asking why everything is happening the way it is, because we're not getting a very good deal. But that era is coming to an end, and we are coming into a wonderful new era. So stay in high vibration, stay in love, and everything is going to be absolutely fine as long as you don't give in to the fear.